Welcome to Hot Topics, navigating tough transactions and turning challenges into closings, where we turn up the heat on real estate's biggest challenges and give you the tools to take the win. We are live from the Fabre Framework Studio, and today's session is not for the faint of heart. We're diving headfirst into the deals that go off the rails, the contracts that collapse at the finish line, and the clients that test your every ounce of patience. But guess what? Closings don't get canceled when you've got the right people on your team. And let's meet two of those people right now. Starting off with Barbara Brown. Barbara Brown is not only a sharp legal mind, she's a deal saver. As an attorney and partner at Brown and Kipton, Barbara leads closings, clears title defects, and brings clarity to the messiest contracts. When the deal looks dead, she's the one you call to resuscitate it and get the signature on the dotted line. And Juliana Miseropian with LMCU. She's the mortgage expert who does more than pre-qualify. She strategizes. When deals hit lending hurdles, she's in the trenches with realtors, working timelines, rate locks, and loan solutions that make it happen. If buyers are panicking and financing's falling apart, she will pull it back together and keep the contract alive. Together, these two powerhouses will help you navigate the stormiest transactions and walk out on the other side with that commission check in hand. Let's light it up. Welcome.
I know, wow. Quan, you did it again.
Woo!
I don't know what to say. That's the truth. Wow, can I get that recorded every morning so I wake up to that?
Yes, it's
I'm
expired.
glad. I'm glad. Let's jump right into it, ladies. Julia, let's start with you. What is one of the most common buyer financing mistakes agents overlook?
Do they have a job?
I know you're joking. Really?
She's not joking.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Yes, people looking for houses and they have no job.
How's that even like possible?
Yes.
Right? I'm in shock.
Yes, or they moving from another state and they don't have a job in Florida. So they're looking for houses. Your realtor come out, show the houses. They still live, let's say, in Michigan, and they do not have a job in Florida. Then we cannot do the loan with the primary residence. It has to be second mortgage or investment, which is a higher price and more money down.
Wow. Okay.
So that is very important to know. Do they have a job line 9 in Florida? So at least if they have an offer letter, we can go on.
Shouldn't the realtor be telling the potential buyer, hey, if you don't have a job, chances of you purchasing a house and getting qualified for a mortgage is low?
Well, at least ask them if they do have a job.
Yes, it should.
2 years job history, that's most important too, because we have to have it at least, especially if they have overtime, let's say, and we need to include it for DTIs.
Okay.
Or if they have differential in if they work nighttime or shift differential. For example, we have to figure that out. And if they just start this type of job and never done it before, we can factor that in.
Really?
We're only going to do a base income and they may not qualify. So it has to be the same type of job with the same type of pay.
Oh, wow.
So you're saying if they switch professions, they are less likely to be qualified for a mortgage?
Well, if their income is changing to going up, yay! If the income is similar, but the pay is different. Let's say they're a nurse and they're working during the day and they have this much income. Now they moving to Florida and they working day or night. Nights pays you more. But guess what? We can't take it because it's not been 2 years.
Ah, okay.
That differential is not a stable income. So we need 2 years average to be able to include that income into their base income.
And what if they own their own business?
Huh?
What if they own their own business?
That where the challenges comes in. Basically, self-employed buyers, especially if they're changing from pay stub to now 1099. They're doing the same type of job, just like me. I was doing a mortgage originations, and I was on the paycheck. Everything looked great, and then I went to base with commission. And guess what? Commission don't count, even though my bank know how much I'm making, but it has to be 2 years to include my commission. And I had to wait. Me, I work for them. They know. They sign my check. But I had to wait 2 years.
Gotcha.
So variable income is always 2 years average.
Okay.
So, of course, self-employed is a variable income. And the biggest mistake borrower making, they tell you, oh, I'm making $250,000 a year. That's what's shown on my tax returns. But guess what? This is gross. And my net income is negative.
Gosh.
You have a very good CPA who helps you with your tax returns, but it's not working for the mortgages. We have to go by net income
Net income.
and average of 2 years.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yes.
All right. Barbara, what's the most common legal issue that causes a deal to fall apart?
Liens on the property. Permits are also an issue, especially right now. But we had a transaction that came out of the Great Recession, and they had a second mortgage that they had conveniently forgotten about.
Yeah.
And so when we went to pull title, the second mortgage came back up. Well, it's still a lien on the property and still has to be paid off. Well, the money was not there to pay the first mortgage, the second mortgage, and give them what they needed to go on to for the next transaction. The other really challenging transaction is a simultaneous close where you're selling and then turning around and buying. We recently had one where there must have been in the living room a very large carpet. And when the sellers moved out and the buyers did their walkthrough, they found some wood damage. Transaction halts. Well, it was a simultaneous. So the sellers were also turning around and buying with a loan. And so that then caused a ripple effect to, we in essence stopped the transaction, both transactions, for about 48 hours while negotiations were done for this damage on the floor. And then we were able to close the second transaction. But, and maybe you can speak to this, from a lender standpoint, that 48 hours for them buying, don't you have to verify income again? So it causes a ripple effect. So your liens on the property, we suggest, especially in this day and age, and if someone had bought it prior to the Great Recession, go ahead and get a title search done up front. In fact, take it to your listing appointment.
Yes.
And then you look so knowledgeable about the property and you have all the facts. That's what I always talk about is, your biggest points are communication and diligence and documentation.
Yes.
So if you have all the information at the listing appointment, you might not have the payoffs, but you can know that this is probably the amount, or you can ask them for their last mortgage statement, which gives you great information, which I'm going to need anyway to get the payoff.
Yeah.
That'll help us out as a title company. So that's probably the biggest one, is that the lien on the property that someone might have forgotten about. And
Barbara,
it does happen.
Can we get clarity on what time frame you mean by the Great Recession? Like '08?
Yeah, 2008, 2010, you had the banks becoming more savvy as opposed to just foreclosing on the property. They started doing loan modifications and second mortgages that could have been stripped off in a bankruptcy, they deferred for 10 years or they did
was
something
charged off or
correct. And
piggybacks.
and some people think, well, I did a bankruptcy. The second mortgage was unsecured, so it was stripped off. Well, the stripping off was the personal guarantee, but it's still a lien on the property and still has to be paid at the time of closing when you're selling the property.
What if the bank went solvent and no longer existed? Does that get stripped off then, or does someone collect the debt?
Well, someone probably is going to collect the debt. They bought it maybe for 5 or 10 cents on the dollar. But that causes even more of a challenge because now we're having to find who owns that debt and order a payoff because it's an encumbrance on the property. It's a lien on the property that I have to clear off in order to insure the property and give the buyer clear title.
And mostly lender. Clear title. We want to be number one lien on the property.
So don't lenders talk to the title company
We do.
during the transaction? Because the lender wants to lend on a property they know they can collect on, right?
Well, we send the requests. They check all of that. They check the liens, do their research, and then they say, hey, the title is clear, we can close. And they also issue us insurance. That's buyer has to purchase from title company, giving us a guarantee if something comes up later, which happens, title insurance will cover it.
So you have owner's title insurance and then you have a lender's title insurance. And along with lender's and title insurance, you have certain endorsements. The survey endorsement, the environmental endorsement, planned unit development endorsements. Yes, good point.
I didn't know
Yes.
this.
So when we order a title search, which let's just differentiate from a lien search. Title search is what's in the real property records. Your lien search is your water bill, anything that is outside of the recorded public records. And we only do a lien search as a convenience. We do not insure that lien search. We only insure the title search.
Oh.
And the title search shows you everything that's in the real property records. Mortgages, potentially liens on the property, judgments against the individual, which can be cleared if it's homestead, and there's certain kinds of judgments, which actually brings up another good point, is we just had this. So as a law firm, I also review other title companies' closing documents for several of my savvy investors.
Wow.
And from another title company, we got a not one and the same affidavit. There were liens on the property, judgments on the property. And say you have the name Sam Smith, which is a pretty common name. You can do a not one and the same affidavit that says, this judgment against Sam H. Smith is not me because I am Sam B. Smith. What happened in that case was they just did a blanket not one and the same affidavit that said, all these judgments out there, I'm not going to give you the OR book and page of them, but those aren't mine. Well, that's not what I want to protect my lender or my buyer, because I want something that says OR book and page, whatever the book and page of the lien is not my lien. I want to be able to go back and say, wait, you said this was not your lien and this is your specific OR book and page, and you signed an affidavit under penalties of perjury.
You're trying to clear all ambiguity is what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. So why would a title company just have them sign a document that says,
Any Sam Smith.
Any
that's
Sam
not what we're looking
Smith.
for.
any Sam Smith judgment out there is not mine?
Yeah.
No, I want to hang my hat on this one, this
Prove
one, this
it.
one, and this one.
Yeah.
And that's going to protect your buyer. So I think that's one of the differences between a attorney-owned title company or law firm and a regular title company.
And it leads to the classic word, right, Quan? Defer.
Defer. Defer to the
How
professionals.
about open
Different.
permits? You search those too?
So we do search open permits. Under the new contract, it is the seller assists with closing them out, but it's no longer a requirement. But certainly, if I was the realtor, I would want those permits closed out,
Yes.
so that there's no issue in the future.
So how do you recommend realtors set expectations with clients about closing delays? Like situations like kind of like what happened with yours. Like how do you set those expectations up at the beginning?
I call it the 3 C's.
Okay.
Concise, communication. I forgot what the other C was.
Let's go with consistency.
There you go.
Wow.
Okay, I'm now going to call it the 2 C's.
2 C's.
Concise communication, consistent communication.
Consistent. Okay.
Concise, consistent communication. If you're constantly communicating with all the parties, the lender, the title company, you're going to be able to set the expectations. I think also potentially up front, you can say, hey, these are the normal timelines, or these are timelines that from my experience. Inspection should take 10 to 15 days, but if we have a hurricane in the middle of it or a big storm, something may happen. Same with surveys. Surveys can be delayed when we have weather issues because they can't get out there and do the survey. So just setting the expectations with that clear, consistent communication.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Triple C.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
when you can remember that third
right.
C.
Triple C. So tell me, what's the best way to communicate with attorneys and lenders to keep everyone aligned?
I have some realtors, they have assistants, they hire some companies who consistently asking me the status on the application. Even though I do send the status of the application or loan with a realtor, but it doesn't hurt to follow up and ask those questions or set up the expectations. Is it done by this day? If not, then hey, is there any delays? Because it's not done, our contract, like a lot of those assistant companies, they send expectations to lenders saying we need approval, conditional approval by this day. We need appraisal by this day. We need have contingency by this date. So now I know all those days. I can put it in my system and I can follow up and make sure we're all aligned with the timing. But of course, unexpected can come. Appraisal can come low. Inspection came up and now they did not pass 4.0. How many fixes we have to do? Who's going to pay for that? And now we're going back to negotiations with the seller, and those negotiations may take time. And sometimes seller said, no, this is as is. There is a solution. We can escrow some of the funds to finish it later, but it cannot be more than 25% of their purchase price. So there's stipulations, there is ways, but that takes time. We have to go back to underwriting. We have to approve those. We have to get estimates, how much the repair is going to cost, and things like that. With the appraisal is a different story. Can we rebuttal the appraisal? Most of the time, not.
Can you challenge an appraisal?
Yes.
And have it reappraised?
What happened is basically we send appraisal to a customer. We don't send it to a realtor. A customer can share it with the realtor and they can share it with the listing agent. They will look at the compatibles and say, no, we have better compatibles to look at. Yours are not most recent or too far, or it's not the same type of property what he looked at. And they send us the compatibles. we sending it back to underwriting. They're going to look at it. They say, yes, this is valid concern, or it's very similar, no actions taken. Or if it's valid, underwriter say, yes, we order a second appraisal.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of time, appraisers, because we don't hire appraisers, we have a management company. By law now, we have to go through the third party. We can, because we are interested party, we can't hire them straight. So we have to have that management company. And they, of course, when they hiring, they look at the experiences, they look at the whole diagram of what they've been doing before. I've seen only one time been doing mortgages for 25 years. Only one time we ordered a second appraisal.
Wow.
It's pretty valid comparables what we receive, unless they literally made a mistake. That happened to me not too long ago. That was big surprise. Appraiser went out and inspected our own property.
Oh, geez. Oops.
Because the pictures on the, I mean, he has a right address, but the pictures what's showing, the seller said, this is not my property. And I don't know. So we went and investigated, and we realized, yes, the pictures are not from the property we buy. So that, of course, goes, and we order a second review, second appraisal, and there will be a different appraiser, of course. But that doesn't happen that often. But again, it takes time for every step, because there is approval process. Everything has to be documented and validated by chain of command. Once we have it, then we're rolling it back saying, this is what we can do.
Gotcha. Perfect. Well, on that note, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. Hot Topics live at Fabre Studios. Oh, my goodness. Fabre Framework Studio.
Come on, Quan, you got this.
You know it.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
All right.
We are back with Hot Topics live at the Fabre Framework Studio. See, I didn't mess it up that time for you, Sean.
Thank you, Quan.
Barbara, back to you. You know what I want to
That
ask?
was such a big sigh. That makes me nervous.
Yeah, what's this question?
Which one should I get you with? All right, so this is the one. What clauses do you recommend agents always include or avoid?
Inspection clauses are a must, and I'm not talking about a 4-point inspection. I am talking about a full home inspection. We've had some seller failure to disclose cases where the buyers tried to save some money and just get a 4-point inspection, and then they came back, and when they were consulting with us and trying to say, well, the seller didn't disclose this, and then we saw it as a 4-point inspection, that pretty much kills our case to some degree, unless it's something that's just, hidden, like you pull up the carpet and there's a massive crack on the floor and they had just replaced the carpet. So definitely the inspection. If you have to change the closing date, you need to make sure you change all your other dates, your loan approval dates, any of those dates. Everything needs to be pushed back. So I think that's that's not maybe a clause per se, but if you're doing an addendum to change a closing date for whatever reason, push back your other dates also, so that they all align, and you don't get caught in a kind of a gap period between loan's been approved and then you're closing 20 days later, and now you're in a potential situation where you lose your job during those 20 days and your loan is no longer approved, and you're smiling because that does happen,
Yes.
unfortunately.
You do
Yes, it
forget the
does.
financing contingency. You forget to change that date. You're
Right.
right.
Yeah, no, I had an instant where a buyer was so sure we already verified income. She quit her job 2 days before closing. She thought we will never go back and verify it, but guess what? The day before closing, we have verbal verification of employment. We're not verifying income anymore, but we want to make sure they're still employed.
Wow.
And
What?
guess what?
You got to be kidding me.
I
What
am
if-
not.
How often does that happen?
I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but
Because
it
lenders
happens.
tell, hey, don't take out any credit cards.
Well, that's- That's what
don't
I was
any-
saying. Mention. I've seen closings come to a halt because they went to Haverty's or
go.
Rooms to Go and got a credit card that's deferred for whatever it is, 12 or 18 months, and they just bought 30 grand, 3,000,
furniture,
30
yeah.
grand of furniture, and now their debt to income ratio when they're
Their DTI is unbalanced. now.
yeah,
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
completely imbalanced, and now they don't qualify for the loan, all because they bought this beautiful furniture for their new house. And it's crazy, but everything you do, I think, going back to the communication, everything you do before you do it, especially if you're within that 30 days before closing on a property, you need to potentially ask. Something as simple as moving out of a house.
Yeah.
30 days before closing, it's no longer your homestead. Maybe you had some judgments. Well, now that you've moved into another property, made it your homestead, changed your driver's license, etc., it's no longer your homestead. That judgment now could potentially attach to that house you're
Wow.
selling. We're within our 30 days closing, and who knows what the judgment's for or how large it is. We might be in a situation where someone has to bring cash to a closing. And we've had that,
Ooh.
where they've had to actually bring cash to the closing.
Now, do you think it's the real, or maybe I'll just put my opinion in here. I think it's the realtor's job to educate their buyers. Hey, these are things you should not do prior to closing. And then
Everyone.
lenders should reaffirm it.
Correct.
I think so.
I think we need to create a list of
Yeah.
to give to every buyer's agent out there that says, here's what you can give to your buyer. From a lender standpoint, don't go and take out new credit, 30
Yes.
days before closing. After you close, stay in a hotel for one night and then go buy all the furniture.
Yes.
But we should create a list or something maybe for the Realtor's website that says these are your do's and don'ts, and you can
Do's
print
and
it out
don'ts,
and
That's
give it to
actually
you.
not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It should be on Star's website, honestly.
You
Yes.
know what? That's something we can look into.
I have a
actually.
flyer I can share.
That's perfect.
Because unfortunately, like,
Doing
let's say a
don'ts,
realtor
yes.
just got their license, they don't know exactly what's going on, even though they're licensed, and maybe that could help them to prevent this issue from happening.
Checklist, yes.
And not only that, but you're saying stay at a hotel, use a debit card, don't use your credit card, because it's still going to affect your debt to income ratio in that aspect, where your utilization may go up if you spend $5,000 at a hotel for 5 days. Right?
Well, I
As a
also-
lender, is that you guys?
Correct.
You're verifying income 2 days before closing, 1 day
No,
before
not
closing.
income, we're verifying if
Employment.
they're still employed, but we do soft pulls, making sure
The whole time.
that
right?
the income
Yeah.
is still in the same. We do tell them, I do talk to my realtor partners and tell them, hey, we have a little, leeway where we can do something like this. If they do, especially, let's say they're buying a house and they don't have washer and dryer. Obviously, they want washer and dryer right away because, moving in, and they thinking to buy it, not thinking it's a debt. And, some of them can be $3,000.
Yeah.
So if something like this happen, realtor calls me and say, hey, how much can we go?
Cool.
And then I can check and say, yes, this is still good. We're still good. Go ahead and do it. So it is possible, but communication is always a key. So communication, realtor, buyer, lender, I do that all the time. My first email of the pre-approval, my email with the conditional approval, always have that. Please do not purchase anything more than $1,000.
What's the ratio that you're looking for when you're talking about debt to income?
It depends on the products. The
If
very
they're going
max,
FHA, if they're going FHA,
FHA is 50%.
50%. So
Most of the
50% debt to their income.
Correct. And we do not go by the amounts, we go by the payment amount. And
Monthly
monthly payment amount, correct. That's what's showing on their credit report. Something like credit cards revolving, if we're always going to see how much is a monthly. But let's say they have a car loan and they only have 2-3 months to pay off their car, we are not going to include it.
Really?
Anything less than 6 months, in some programs 10 months, we're not going to include it in that debt to income estimate.
I did not know that.
But that's something with a set amount like car loans. A lot of people thinking, oh, I'm just gonna pay half of my car loan down and my DTI is gonna go down. No, it's not, because you have a set payment amount. Doesn't matter how much you owe, just like mortgage. You may owe now only, I don't know, 10,000, but your payment amount is still going to be 500, 600, whatever you settle with. So it does not go down unless it's a credit card revolving. So when you're paying down your credit card, your payment will go down. So on the credit cards, the payments are fluctuating. On the car loans or layaway, I think it calls.
Yeah.
Where
Layaway.
people buy something
And make payments on it.
but it's a set payment. So you have to either pay it off or don't touch it. Pay your credit cards down.
Gotcha. Barbara.
Well, I wanted another clause that I think realtors really need to focus on. And you brought up the washer and dryer. That personal property that's staying with
The conveyances.
the conveyance, correct. Just because it's in the MLS does not bring it over to the contract.
Yeah.
Correct.
Your MLS is your advertisement, but unless you put that washer and dryer conveys with the property, then technically it does not.
That's true.
And that beautiful chandelier that was great grandmother's in their, Connecticut house, take it down before you take pictures, before you even start showing the property, because someone will fall in love with it. They
Deal
will
breaker.
go.
Yep.
They will go to walk through the property the morning of closing, and they will go, "Where is that chandelier?" I absolutely loved it. I thought, especially with DocuSign contracts now,
Yeah.
I think the time is not taken to really review everything.
Yes.
So I think the other clause that's very important is, this is the real estate that's conveying, but this is also the personal property that we are contractually agreeing to give you, as opposed to when they go to the walkthrough and all of a sudden they have that moment of the push-in stove is gone, the refrigerator's gone, the washer and dryer is gone,
Yeah.
and then they are planning to move into the property that day, and they can't cook their food.
Yeah.
They don't have any place to put, their canister of food that they brought out of their refrigerator. So those are all things that can just turn a transaction sour.
So how do you handle those situations, when the sellers want to back out of a signed contract?
But it can't, right?
They can't. I mean, unless there is, and we have had those phone calls where a seller was going to take a job in another state, and then all of a sudden the job falls through and they're like, wait, I'm not going to have any place to live. I don't want to sell my house anymore. Well, you've entered into a contractual obligation. Really, the only way to get out of it is to negotiate out of it, which is to give them something, which is usually a monetary amount, to make it worth their while, i.e. the buyer's worth their while to walk away. But you have to remember also that now, once you're under contract, the buyer's entered into other contractual arrangements. They've got to pay an appraiser now. They've got a lender involved. They've paid an inspector, potentially a survey company. They've got costs out there also. So once you've signed on the dotted line, they talk about buyer's remorse, but there's also seller's remorse. And the only thing you need to hope for is maybe you're in that inspection period and the buyer decides they don't want to buy anymore. But with that said, the seller cannot not allow the buyer to come in there, do their inspection. We've had that call also where the seller says, I don't want to sell anymore.
Wow.
So I'm just going to not allow the inspector to come in.
That's
I'm not going
illegal.
to be available. When you sign that contract, you agree to make the property available for that inspection within those periods of time of the contract. You can't just say, oh, I'm the seller, I'm not going to make it available, and this is how I'm going to get out of the contract. No, that's going to cause you even more problems.
Makes sense.
So what happened if they refuse to let the inspector?
Which they're not legally able to do that. So what does
Legally,
happen?
yes, but
Then
physically,
you
let's
get-
say
What
they
does
didn't.
Then you hire me.
Then
Then you hire me.
At Brown and
You hire
Kempton,
Barbara.
PA.
At Brown and Kempton, PA. But then
What does happen? Like, I mean, you hire an attorney and they have to.
if the two agents cannot work it out, many times they get their brokers involved. And then ultimately, many times an attorney gets involved. But that's where I feel sorry for agents now. They don't go into a brick and mortar office anymore. So many of these are online brokerages, and you don't have that individual where you can walk in their office and go, oh, my seller wants to get out of the contract. Broker, what do I do? Which is where I think our job as real estate attorneys has become even more prevalent, because especially with those new agents, we can take those calls. We're your title company. We're your real estate attorneys. FREC is obviously your first line of kind of a legal call.
Right.
But if it's after hours or during the weekend, we're always available too.
Wow.
Now, you mentioned, and you guys were talking about conveyance of appliances and what's shown in the photos on the MLS. If it could be listed as conveyed on the MLS, but if it's not in the contract, it doesn't convey. So isn't that technically false advertising when you're putting it on the MLS? And is when you list a property on the MLS, doesn't a realtor have to sign some kind of terms and conditions form when they list the property on the MLS?
Listing agreement?
Yeah. Well, no. I'm talking about with the MLS, with the multiple
When
listing
you
service.
put the
Does the agent themselves
Is there
have
Is
to
there a
sign?
box on the MLS that the
You
agent
check.
has to check off and say everything I've put in
Is true.
Is correct.
is true and correct?
Is
Yes,
it-
but that doesn't change the fact of
Well,
you didn't write it in the contract.
so-
It's
well,
not happening.
when you're writing the contract now, and the contract says something different, doesn't that mean you can hold, if you're a buyer, hold the agent responsible for the misinformation that he put or she put on that listing?
I'll tell you from my experience of having that happen before, typically the agent will come out of their commission or out of their pocket
Yeah.
to pay for the items that they made the mistake on not putting into the
so
contract.
don't put this chandelier on the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Pool equipment is the other one.
Pool.
The
is
pool
Wow.
equipment. We
Yeah.
just had the seller ghosted his realtor, and she called me up and she said the buyer's threatening to sue everybody over $800 worth of pool equipment. Barb, I'll write the check. I don't
Yeah,
want
I
to
was gonna
deal with
say,
this. I'll just give the buyer $800. But I want to make sure that later on down the road, he doesn't find something else. And since the seller's ghosted everybody, he's looking at me. So we did a settlement agreement and hold harmless that said anything in the future that they find out, they're not going to hold her responsible for, and they're going to look to the seller for that responsibility.
I like
Now,
that.
doesn't the broker's E&O pay for that, though?
I do not know. She wrote a check. In fact, that was a follow-up phone call, I think even yesterday, was where she said, can I give him a check directly? It's like after the settlement agreement is signed,
Well,
you can give him a check, but
Because-
not until
yeah.
all parties have signed the settlement agreement. And we did it between her as the selling agent, the buyer's agent, and the buyer. We didn't have the seller's part of it because the seller was ghosting everybody.
Which essentially that agreement meant, here's your $800, and now we're held harmless against any future claims.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. An indemnification clause, is that what they're called?
So hold harmless indemnification.
Yeah. I could have been a lawyer, I swear.
I see that. I see that. Listen.
I'm impressed.
Yes. What's the one piece of advice you wish every realtor knew before going under contract? Each one of you.
wow. Before going into contract,
Yep.
meaning they already have a property and they want to write a contract?
Yep.
Well, HOA is always an issue. Find out what's covered, what's not, what's the amount. That's biggest. Then any kind of addendums or comes with the contract. Make sure when you mark it on the contract, make sure you attach it and everybody signs it. The drywall, the Chinese drywall addendum, always make sure it's there. It is very big deal. Also, the type of the property they buying, make sure the pre-approval align with this property. Basically, if they were buying single family, and they were pre-approved for, let's say, 400,000, and now they're buying a condo for 400,000. That means the HOA will be in about $700 to $800 a month, which will bring my DTIs pretty high.
Yeah.
Also, always, I had a deal breaker this month: check taxes, property tax, and CDD. Number one, because my buyer went into a contract, and when I sent them preliminary disclosure and I disclosed the tax amount and HOA and CDD, it was more than mortgage payment.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And they said, we don't want to buy it. And I was a little concerned. When you were looking at the property, you should be already knowing because it's listed on MLS.
Yeah.
HOA and CDD,
CDD.
and all the tax, that amount was so high. The property was 500,000. Property tax was 12,000. 12,000. HOA was 700, and insurance was pretty high also. So that whole thing was just canceled. And not only they canceled the contract, they said, you know what, we're changing our minds. We want to wait, because they got so scared
Yeah.
of the taxes. Yes, taxes went up, insurance went up, so always check.
Okay. Barbara.
Education. So our FAR bar as is contract just changed in December of this year.
Yes.
Added 2 writers for condominiums, and there were some other changes, not significant within the contract, but the additional writers. So I think really staying up on your contracts and knowing what the difference is between the 2021 contract and now the 2024 contract, I think would be my piece of advice. And then the other piece of advice I would say for a title company or a lender, and I say this to my staff all the time, Graham Bell created a great invention. It's called a phone.
Pick up the phone.
If my staff knows, if they come in and say, I've emailed a person 3 times and I haven't heard back, they know I'm going to say, pick up the phone. Because you don't know, especially in our technology age and with these firewalls, if it's gone into spam, if a real estate agent's client seller is ghosting them because they think they can get out of the contract. You never know what the circumstances are, but pick up the phone and have that communication, but also document your communication. I really think you should have almost a Word document that has a document or a conversation log on, you
A
know,
transcript.
not you don't need to record it transcript, but have enough information in there that on May 29th at 12 o'clock, I called buyer's agent. I reminded them that the chandelier is not conveying, and or something, so that if you are ever pulled into court or a question does come up later, you've got that communication. And I would even follow it up with, hey, buyer's agent, had a great conversation with you today. Just want to reiterate, the chandelier does not convey.
And then also get a response from said buyer's agent.
Yes.
Because then because you could write an email to anybody about anything and it doesn't really matter.
And I'm sure with AI and everything out there, you could probably manipulate an email.
But if you get a response from said buyer's agent, then now in the court of law, in my opinion, it would show that, hey, this is legitimate. And then you could also track the record from his email or her email inbox as well, right?
I do text most of the time because
I know this says 0, but we still got 4 minutes.
We got it. Oh, we do? We're good to go. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. We keep going.
I do texting,
But we should
a lot when
transition,
something like this comes up. Because everything in my world, and I'm sure in Barbara's too, everything needs to be in writing. So what I do, like if depends who am I talking to, I put realtor and buyer on the same text, and I say, this is where we're standing, and this is what we're still outstanding items. For example, and because a lot of time then we get hard conversations where realtors say, hey, are we closing tomorrow? And no, we are not, because I'm still waiting for
tax
homeowners
return.
insurance, return, whatever I'm waiting for, I still don't have it. And a lot of time they're like, well, you did not communicate it. I mean, of course, I send emails and I send them, this is what I've been communicating. But text, what I find is really what's saving me. And I have a way of putting that text on my notes on the file. So it's all documented. It's not who she said, he said. That's what's been said. And this is what expectations were at that day.
That's so funny that someone would ask, are we closing? And you didn't even get a closing disclosure yet.
Yep.
Goodness. All right. On that note, we'll take a break. We'll be back at Hot Topics live at the Fabre Framework Studio. We are now live back at the Fabre Framework Studio with Hot Topics,
where you need to like, comment, and subscribe and hit that bell for the notifications buttons.
Yes.
That way you could be notified every time a episode drops.
I love it.
Find us on Apple, find us on Spotify, and iHeartMedia. We're everywhere.
We are.
Damn it. I'm doing your job, Quan.
Listen. You did it so good. You did it so good.
I did so good.
Let's talk about something, ladies. We were talking before we came back about pre-signing. And I wanted, they should know. They should know about this phenomenon that doesn't really supposed to happen. Let's talk about pre-signing.
There's no such thing as pre-signing. And that's what we talked about.
From a lender standpoint.
Okay. From the lender standpoint. We do not allow pre-sign. Basically, you will be signing on the day of closing.
Okay.
And everybody needs to be signing on the day of closing.
Everybody means the wife is here in Florida and husband is still in Michigan. And they thought it's okay for her to sign, and he will get a package and pre-sign in Michigan, because there's no such thing like same day delivery. So title company cannot send a package and get it back in the same day. So that means we have to have power of attorney. Power of attorney needs to be created and needs to be approved by lender. And then the person who will be signing here in Florida, not in Michigan, will be signing for the person what's not in here. Or vice versa. If he's signing in Michigan and the wife traveling for work and she's in New York, then same thing happen. Whoever comes to closing and signing will have a power of attorney.
Why can't it be done digitally, like through a DocuSign or an online notary?
It can't, but not a lot of lenders accept it because it has to be, we call it water sign?
Wet
wet
signature.
Wet signature?
Yeah,
Sorry.
wet
Wet
signature. So your mortgage is still recorded, and it needs to be a real wet signatured. And interesting enough, if you come into my office, you will not find any black pens.
Yeah.
If I get one of those pens with our name on it as a sample and it's black, it goes in the trash faster than anything, because I know an original document is blue inked.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Versus black inked, you have to turn it over, look at it. Oh, no, that's a copy. So your mortgage, your deed, other documents still need to be wet signatured. There is, and Florida does allow, I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago, the remote online notarization. But a lot of lenders don't like it because there's potential fraud with it. And sometimes it can be very difficult to get
But
set
that's a
up.
lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they say I didn't sign it, and now how am I going to prove it? And this is my collateral. This is the document what we hold in some kind of big safe, and it's always there to present if we go foreclosure. If we go short sale, I have to present original
Now,
document.
let me ask you a question. What if there was a signing method where all parties have to log into, say, a Zoom call and witness the actual signing of that document digitally? I mean, I think in a court of law that would uphold.
But when you
right?
go to court, what are you going to present?
You're going to
can't
present the recorded session in which all parties were present at the time of signing.
Where are you going to
Because
hold all
somebody-
those recordings?
So
Imagine.
the remote online notarization, as I understand it, and I'm not an expert on it by any means, but I understand that they do have a recording of that signing process that's kept in a vault. But just like your tax return, you only need to keep it for, 7 years, 10 years?
Yeah.
How long are we to vault those signatures? People hold on to houses, stay in their houses, especially with the market right now, for 20, 10, how many years? How long are we going to be able to keep that vault? And then the second point I was going to make, when I do a foreclosure action, because we do plaintiff side hard money foreclosures, I have to present the original promissory note to the court and file it. If I don't have it, I have to do an affidavit from the lender saying why I don't have it, that I haven't transferred it, and I have to agree to indemnify that borrower if it comes out that I transferred that promissory note to somebody else. So if I foreclose on the property and then 3 years later someone comes back and says, wait, I own the promissory note, I hold the mortgage, then my lender has to indemnify them. So there are some documents that have to be still original documents to facilitate the process.
I was just asking the question. Yeah, makes sense.
The power of attorney
but
is
in a
pretty
digital
easy.
age, I mean, it kind of seems almost
But look at all the fraudulent deeds that we're having.
Yes.
The
through
issue
quitclaim
of
deeds.
the fraudulent deeds that is plaguing Florida and the rest of the United States, and they are deeds that have been forged and created, and
With a wet signature.
I don't know if they're all wet signature
Just
or they're
saying.
e-recorded, and
Here we
they're
go.
they're cutting.
That's the answer to your question.
Well, I'm saying that they can fraudulently record a deed or a title with a wet signature, okay? So if they can do that, and they're saying, well, online, they're going to do the same thing. But if you actually have a recording where it is recorded, it is on tape, and you're saying, oh, well, where are you going to store that file? But I mean, data has never been cheaper than on Dropbox, where you can have 20 gigs for free. I mean, there's plenty of places to store that file, and then you're recording the mortgage anyways, right?
Maybe you have a new business model.
I
Right.
do not. I do
Right.
not want to be in that. I do not want to be in the title of mortgage
First, you need
space.
to lobby it somewhere so
Yeah.
it gets approved. But as of right now, it is what signature. It's not a lot.
Juliana's like, no, don't stop talking about it.
No.
Stop talking about it, Sean.
It's not going to work because I also work in foreclosure department, and I was the one who was pulling original document. Imagine we pull an original document. Somebody has a safe, what they carry on with the
like a
Yes,
presidential
man.
football.
going
Yeah.
to a court with this document.
Are you
I'm
kidding me?
serious.
Handcuffed to them?
I am serious.
Oh,
Yes,
oh, okay.
because this is this is $1 million recording. Am I going to just say, oh, sure, have it, and don't even know if you're going to deliver it? You know, this is a lot of money we're talking about. We are not closing one or two. We're closing a lot of loans, and that's what it comes to. Proof you have a lien against my property. When buyer or the person who owns the property, now we're trying to foreclose on them. We're going to court because they have a law here in Florida. They can go to mediation, and they're going to mediation, and now lender has to prove. First, we have a lien on this property, and the note and the mortgage we have to prove and present to a court. And then we were presenting saying, hey, we offer them modifications, we offer them this, they never comply, now we're foreclosing. Then buyer saying, well, they did send me, but it's unattainable, not achievable. I'm looking for a lower payment, whatever. Then court decides, say, okay, then let's do this. Lender, you will make it happen, give them another modification, we'll have another chance, and then if not, then we'll be foreclosing.
And as the lender, you're providing all those original
Yes.
wet signatures.
Yes.
So are you telling me there's a warehouse somewhere in
Yes.
Tampa where there's just a ton of documents? What if the warehouse burns down?
Then
That I
you're doing
don't
an
know.
affidavit.
And that is why DocuSign makes sense.
Well, this is
But
the
you're-
world now.
But your
Yeah,
mortgage
well, I mean,
has
think
to be,
about it. What if it burns down? What are you providing now to the court that states that you have the original promissory note, that
I'm
you
sure
are
we have
able
a
to declare a
process.
lien on the
But
property?
you could have
What
that
do you have
same
now?
argument about your cloud service. What happens if their server goes down or that company goes out of
Oh,
business?
come on, bro. There's
Uh-huh.
redundancies.
What happens if they
There's
go out of business?
redundancies. There's redundancies. So the way server-based data storage works is that there's multiple hard drives.
Somebody hack it. How about that?
Well, I'm telling you, there's multiple hard drives, okay, that record pieces of data redundantly throughout all 10. Let's say 10 hard drives. If one goes bad, you still have the other 9 that have fragments. If somebody hacks one, you still have the other 9 that will provide the entire document fragmented, pieced together on the other side. If a warehouse burns down, there's no redundancy there. That is literally, it burns down, all the paper goes up in smoke.
fireproof
pretty much screwed.
safes.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. Yeah.
Wait, did I just shut you down?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you
Hi,
did.
Barbara.
Listen,
Yeah, you did, Barbara.
Okay, so now it's just 2-1. You
Yeah.
shut me down twice, and I got one.
Which one's cheaper? Fireproof safes inside a warehouse or cloud storage? Cloud
If I
storage.
have to show an original document, unfortunately, it's a cost of doing business.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
why banks charge so much.
that's
Let me
true.
tell
No,
you.
we don't.
I was about to say,
Oh,
no, they
origination
really don't.
fees. Origination fees are through the roof.
$800.
No way.
That's all we're charging.
So you guys close on a loan for $800?
Correct.
And
Go
use
to
it.
LMCU. I mean, holy cow.
But the other benefit of going to a credit union is you don't have to pay
Intangible tax.
intangible tax, which is
I don't know what
35
that is.
cents per
On the purchase,
thousand.
Yep.
But if you go to another lender, you're going to pay your documentary stamp, which is, no, it's 20 cents. Excuse me. 20 cents is intangible tax. 30 cents is doc stamps on the mortgage, and 70 cents is doc stamps on the deed.
On the deed, yeah.
So you don't have to pay that 20 cents.
Who knew money was so cheap?
Oh, man.
LMCU. LMCU.
All this
LMCU.
fire talk gets us ready to go straight to our favorite segment, the hot seat. Oh, yeah, Juliana, this is your first time on the hot seat. So, this is the time where each one of our panelists gets 2 minutes to pitch their services directly to you. No filters, no softballs, just real world value from two professionals who can help you save more deals, protect your clients, and close like a pro. First up on the hot seat, Barbara Brown from Brown and Kempton. Barbara, this is your moment. Tell these realtors why you should be their first call when a contract gets complicated and how your title and legal services keep transactions on track.
So, 25 years in the business. We are a attorney-owned law firm that has a title component. Not saying anything negative about title processors or title-owned title companies, but to own a title company and to be a title processor, you take a 40-hour class, and then you pass an exam with a C average, and you can go and open a title company. I don't know if I want somebody who, maybe they passed with an A, but all we do is real estate law, closings, but estate planning, probate, drawing up contracts, commercial and residential. We do prepare the addendums for a lot of our realtors because we suggest you do not go into the area of unauthorized practice of law. So there are a lot of benefits to working with a attorney-owned law firm and title company that can do your closings for you. If something does go awry at the closing table, you have more than likely an attorney in the other room who can split up the parties or talk to somebody or help you out with that seller who has decided they don't want to sell their property anymore because they lost their job going to Michigan and now they need to stay in their property. So we have the added benefit of the specialization of real estate law, real estate title closings, and having all that knowledge, as opposed to, with all due respect to title companies, strictly title companies, someone who's just taken a 40-hour class and passed a state exam and received a license. I have 3 years of law school. I have 1 year left of my legal master's from University of Miami in real property development. I know doc stamps. I know real estate. We actually represent quite a few title companies. When they can't get a deal done or they need additional support,
Wow.
they will call us. And if we can't just help them out with a document, then we sometimes will do the closings for them when it's difficult. I think we represent about a dozen title companies for that reason.
Let's go
So-
Brown and Kempton.
Right.
I am very proud of us. We have a fantastic team, and I started the business in 2006. So next year will be 20 years.
Holy cow.
So I started when I was 12. You know that, right?
Well, I mean, I figured
Yes.
you were only like
Yes.
21 years old.
So I'm very proud of my team.
Glad. Thank you, Barbara. Also, drop the handles with website, Instagram.
Yeah, like I know all that. I'm the least technological person. We are brownkemptonlaw.com, 813-528-4044, info at kemptonlaw.com, and we have our website. We merged with another law firm in
You
March.
guys also do personal injury.
Yes, we do personal injury. We do especially mold cases. Toxic mold cases is one of our areas.
Nice.
So, and my son Christopher is
yep,
up there.
Let's go back. Oh, I guess it would be our staff.
Yep, there's Christopher. He is our
Yes.
mascot. He is. He brings positivity, and he's overcome lots of challenges. And that's what our job is for realtors, to overcome these challenges at closing, and that's why he's our mascot.
Yes.
Very proud of him.
Shout out Christopher.
Yes.
Yay.
Next up in the hot seat, Juliana, Miss Rumpman. With LMCU, Juliana, when the lender backs out or the buyer's financials get shaky, you've got the tools to turn it around. Now tell us why realtors need you on speed dial and how you help them close the tough ones.
As Barbara, I started when I was 12.
I knew it.
I have 25 years experience in mortgages, and mortgages means I've been originating, I've been underwriting, I've been processing, I've been closing. I was processing foreclosures and mediations. So I know this business from beginning to the end. And if you have a problem at closing, I can also help. I can look at the closing disclosure. We can go over the closing disclosure. I have a lot of experience and knowledge. So when something comes up, I don't freeze. I have a solution. Because of that experience in mortgages, in the different departments, that's what I would say my biggest plus in my career. Also, I work just like realtors because I'm on commissions. I'm available 24/7. I probably need a couple of hours to sleep, but I'm there with my experience and knowledge. I have a great team as well. I have designated underwriters, designated processors, and closers. So I have a team what you're going to be working with. But from the beginning to the end, you're always going to have me as your go-to person. You don't have to deal with anybody but me. That's the convenient. I'll go to closings. I usually try to go to all my closings if time permit, because I want to make sure when you're at the closing table, you know what you're signing. It could be challenging, especially if you don't close in the title company. You just have notary coming to your house. Most of the time, they're notarizing your signature. They're not explaining you what you're signing.
Yeah.
So I try to be there for my clients, for my realtors, answering questions, educating them as well. When you just start, I can go over the contracts. I'm not Barbara, but I review them every day, so I know what I need and what we're looking for and what line is important, what not. Most of the time, everything is important, but really, what to pay attention to. I go to open houses. I'm your partner for life if you choose me. And being with Lake Michigan Credit Union, we are a credit union. We're heavily regulated. There's no funky business behind. We open book. You can ask any questions. We are not dealing with, he said, she said. Everything is really on paper and regulated. Because we're credit union, we are non-for-profit organization. Everything goes back to our members. Because once you start the process with Lake Michigan Credit Union, you'll become a member. We'll open checking or savings. And everything goes back to members, meaning we've created special products for you where we help customers where if they do not have down payment, we have a product for 0 down, no PMI. We have a products where we can give you 10,000 as a down payment assistance, and you don't have to pay it back. So we've created a lot of products for our customers and our clients, realtors, where we can work with your clients.
Nice. And how can people reach you?
My email address, I would say, but it's complicated with my name. As of right now, I would say you can go to lmcu.org and you can choose mortgages and find your originator, and that will be me, Juliana Misropin, and my phone number is 813-293-8925.
Perfect. See, realtors, these are your behind the scenes closers. If you're not already working with them, you're leaving deals and dollars on the table.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. Now listen, as we wrap up today's Hot Topics panel here at the Fabre Framework Studio, here's what we know. Every realtor will face a tough transaction. It's not if, it's when. The agents who rise, they don't panic. They problem solve. And more importantly, they surround themselves with professionals who are just as relentless about getting the deal done. Big thanks to Barbara Brown for showing us that legal knowledge and title clarity can mean the difference between a closed deal and a lawsuit. And to Juliana Mistrofin for reminding us that the right mortgage partner doesn't just process loans, they protect deals and empower buyers. Take what you learned today and make it part of your process. Build your dream team, communicate early, and spot red flags fast. And never forget, tough transactions don't break great agents, they build them. Make sure to follow, subscribe, and share this episode. Now go out there and turn those challenges into closings. This is your host signing off. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries, delivering value, and standing out like the star you are.